Andrew and Trickster tried to attack the tree elder from behind, but a vine wrapped around Tina's foot. She was dragged further from the tree until she sliced herself free from the vine with her sword. She accidentally sliced the vine of a large flower pot as well. That wouldn't have bothered her if the odd flower didn't start to fizzle with sparks. She backed away farther until the thing exploded. Tina realized the odd flowers around the shrine, if cut, became bombs. She then looked to the tree elder, who was consuming soldiers. Tina cut a bomb flower and picked it up. She had within a range of 13 seconds to reach the elder. Andrew and Trickster looked at Tina surprised as she tossed the flower at the tree elder. The tree was about to consume a soldier, and with his mouth wide open, the bomb flew right in. He swallowed it, and it exploded. He spit up fire and smoke. He still was rather strong, but Trickster and Andrew followed Tina's lead. They tossed in 2 more bombs when he wasn't expecting and weakened the tree. He was going in for one last attack when Ava rushed in front of his large branch of a hand. Ava threw up her hands in defense. "You must stop," she said. The tree elder picked Ava up by her arm and held her in front of him. He gazed at the spiral on her wrist, and he placed her gently back on the ground. "Oh, child, what a rare sight you are. What is it that you desire?" Trickster rushed to the front. He dusted off his armor of leaves. "Why did you attack us?" he snarled. "You are human. It is your fault that the tree of life is dying. It is your fault that me and the other elders had to sacrifice our lives and give them back to the tree of life to keep it alive for as long as possible." His tone hardened. The tree elder then pointed to Ava. "By the way, I'm sorry I borrowed your energy, maiden. Please give your energy to the lingering elders, for they have slept for a very long time, as have I. But beware, they are much stronger than I am, and they will not be welcoming." Ava smiled and nodded her head. Trickster shoved her out of the way, and Andrew caught her in his arms. She pulled away nervous. "We only came to this god-awful place because we need to reach the Forgotten Temple. We need your permission." The tree elder shook his head of leaves until a small green orb fell from the branches. He caught it and handed it to Ava. "If you must enter the temple, young maiden, take care of this item." Trickster looked at it, but Ava glared at him, so he backed up. He looked to the odd tree. "What of this key? Does it truly lie in the temple?" Tina pulled the small green orb away from Ava and glanced at it. Tina kept this to herself, but she thought it would make a beautiful wedding ring if molded correctly. "Knowledge of the key lies in the temple, but the key itself may be closer than you think." Trickster grinded his teeth. "Tell me of this key." Trickster snatched the orb from Tina as she pouted. Andrew laughed at her. Tina then sunk into Andrew's arms because she couldn't go a millisecond without touching him. "All I can reveal is the key is one with this planet." Trickster put his sword back in his holder. "Thanks for nothing then, I suppose." He walked past the tree elder. The other soldiers that were picked off in sections regrouped to follow the leader. Andrew helped Tina, and he noticed the deep cut on her leg. "Trickster, let's stop for a while." Trickster turned behind to see his troops were weak anyway. He stuck his sword in the ground. "Fine, we rest here. We travel again at nightfall." The soldiers collected wood and started campfires in different sections. Trickster stayed off in the shadowy parts of the woods to have some alone time in his own dark mind. Ava sat by the fire. Andrew and Tina joined her. Ava was entranced by the fire, but she stood to walk over to the tree elder. Ava put her hand on the tree elder while he slept. As she pulled her hand away, some white and pink flowers that glowed in the darkness covered him. The cardinal flew to her shoulder. Nature, along with its inhabitants, trusted Ava. Across from her were her captors. She listened intently without really having a choice. Tina started to kiss Andrew on the neck. "Why don't you get some rest, Tina?" Tina grabbed his face to kiss his lips. "I'm not sleepy." Andrew pulled away. "How can you be so happy? We just lost so many of our friends." Tina thought about it for a split second. She then started feeling his muscular arm. "I'm trying to help you cope," she giggled, for she wasn't truly saddened by the loss. "I just need some space." She stood up enraged. "Fine, here's your space. Sorry I bothered you." Andrew stood up to grab her, but she pulled away. "Tina, come on." She ran off. She was hurt, but Andrew had too much on his mind at the moment. "Just forget it." He sat back down and sighed heavily. Ava shook her head over the stupidity. She walked over to Andrew, who was stroking the vein popping from his forehead as the cardinal flew off. He did that every time he had a problem. She sat down beside him. "How are you?" Andrew realized Ava was sitting right next to him. She was sick of the ignoring attempt by Andrew. He did it to protect himself from gaining a conscience so he could handle his job correctly. "You don't talk much, do you?" Andrew kept his eyes far away from her. He didn't even want to glance at her, for she was just supposed to remain a prophet to him, nothing more. Ava huffed. "Look, I know you have a lot on your mind right now." All of the random death today taught me something. Every day is a gift and not a given right. Andrew's eyes lifted toward the sky. He was surprised by her thoughts. Many take life for granted, and before they know it, it's gone. If today was your last day, would you be happy with what you've left behind? I mean, you need to live life like it's your last day. She grabbed his lips to make it look like he was talking, so he smiled nervous. He jerked away as she continued to say, "That's why you should talk, get to know people, and find the one you're dreaming of, and then live your life. You can't hold back like you do." Andrew wondered why Ava was trying to help him feel better after what he's done. Ava shoved him with her shoulder as a joke. "Hey, I won't rush you." Ava then got up to leave, and Andrew finally looked up to watch her leave. Ava went off toward the area where she last saw Tina storm off to. Ava noticed Tina was sitting in the fields looking up at the stars. Ava walked right up to her and sat down beside her. "What do you want?" she barked. "What did I do to make you hate me so much?" Ava did nothing to deserve such cruelty. "You were born for profit. Just accept that humans won't look at you any other way." Tina lay back on the grass. She closed her eyes to pretend Ava wasn't around. "I'm sorry you think that way." Tina lifted her head confused as she thought her thinking was justified. "How else should I think?" Ava smirked darkly as she said, "Well, to think takes a brain and a thought, and you seem to lack both." She laughed. Tina stood up enraged with clutched fists. "Was that supposed to be an insult?" She cracked her knuckles. Ava giggled again. "If you can't figure it out, then you just proved my point." Tina grinded her teeth and flared her nostrils, ready to spew fire. Tina was about ready to knock Ava's teeth out, even when Ava was much taller at 5'8". "You must lack brains if you think you're going to get away with that." Ava relaxed on the grass. "Trickster needs me at the moment. I doubt you get away with hurting me." "Look, I'm sorry, but if you were in my position, you'd be a little on edge, too." Tina sat back down and picked at the grass. She calmed herself down with her concentrated breathing. "So, Andrew tells me that you didn't even know you were a Nova. What's that about?" Ava smiled, knowing her charm would make the others warm up to her. "I was raised by Kendra, but she's my adoptive mother." Ava paused. Her eyebrows squished together in pain, and Tina took notice. "She told me that my mother died in an accident, so she took me in. She never told me the truth. She was very shady on the subject whenever I'd asked. Now I know it was far from the truth. My mother wasn't killed in some accident." Ava sighed. Tina dropped her gaze to the floor, ashamed, for she knew what Ava was going to say. "The soldiers must have killed her off while trying to escape from Core City. Kendra must have found me to take me away to the woods. How else could I have escaped?" Tina shook her head. "I'm sorry." Ava smiled softly. Ava's eyes softened while Tina's eyes reverted to that of a shark's dead eyes. "Oh, what am I saying? This is why I never became close to you, Novas. You act so human-like." Ava couldn't believe her ears, so she said, "That feeling isn't my doing. You're gaining a conscience covered in guilt." Tina bit her lip. She then stood up enraged. "But it was the prophecy that stirred us all up. You Novas were the ones who were coming after us. We just beat you to the punch." Ava stared at Tina, puzzled. "A prophecy?" Before Tina could explain, Trickster blew his horn. "Move out," he growled. Tina grabbed Ava's hand. "Come on." The cardinal followed after Ava. The hunt for the elders continued. So far, the road appeared safe. The darkness set in as the moon was in the center of the sky. Following the only road they could, Trickster dragged Ava toward this dark tower. It was blocking the path, but there was no door, so Ava decided to head up the stairs. Along the twisting staircase were torches along the walls. The troops lagged behind. Trickster took Ava further ahead of the rest. Tina walked past Andrew and snubbed him. It was too quiet, even when they reached the outside of the tower. Nothing but a pitch-black spring was in front of them. Along the spring was another white tower. Ava was going to cross the bridge, but Andrew pulled her back. "Do you want me to revive the elder or not?" Trickster nodded his head, so Andrew let her go. Trickster waved his hand, so the soldiers followed after her. They followed Ava across the bridge and waited along it, glaring at the dark water in fear as to what lingered beneath. Ava then made it to the other side and entered the white tower surrounded by broken pillars. She touched the green spiral on the ground and she blacked out again as the elder sucked her energy away to be awakened. Andrew saw what she had to do this time and he tried to run to her, but massive bubbles came from the water's depths. A huge explosion beneath the water sent waves everywhere as a giant red carp jumped from the water. The giant red carp with long whiskers used his black fin to smash the bridge. The soldiers' armor was too heavy, so they began to sink and drown in the water. Trickster lifted his arm as the soldiers on land lifted their bow and arrows. "Hold!" The red carp began to eat the soldiers at the bottom of the spring. "Hold!" He splashed out of the water. "Fire!" Trickster ordered. The soldiers sent their arrows flying, but surprisingly the giant red carp ate the arrows. He then sank beneath the waves. The soldiers started cheering, for they thought the arrows had damaged the red carp internally. But the bubbles started to rise again until the carp rose quietly. He spit out several arrows at once as they all shot back at the soldiers. Trickster ducked, but most of his platoon did not and were wiped out. The carp sank beneath the spring again. Ava began to wake up as the cardinal chirped. She stumbled to her feet. As the red carp rose again, he spotted Ava. He charged for her, and Andrew tried to rush to her, but Trickster pulled him back. Ava stepped toward the black water, and the lily pad suddenly rose out of nowhere to help her across the dark water. At first glance of the power of nature that the girl had, the red carp slowed to a stop. Ava walked across the water as she summoned lily pads. She then petted the carp, so he calmed and talked to her, while the others stared dumbfounded, as she was always able to calm the elders down. "Your energy smells of nature. Your energy is pure, young woman. What is it that you need?" Ava already knew what Trickster would ask. Ava walked back to shore using the lily pads. "We need your permission to enter the Forgotten Temple." The red carp squished his lips together and out popped a blue orb. Ava caught it and Trickster took it immediately. "You wish to see the temple of your people, I suspect." Ava looked to him entranced. She didn't know the temple belonged to her people. Trickster moved Ava out of the way again. "Tell me of the key that is in the temple. Is it still there?" Trickster was impulsively impatient. "The key is something that is no part of the world, as it belongs to nothing and no one any more." Trickster sighed. He couldn't pin the riddles together. He had hoped for the last elder to piece things together. The carp sank below the dark water to hide from the dreaded humans. Andrew walked up to Trickster. "I think we need to rest here. It's midnight and the soldiers are tired." Trickster stuck his blade into the dirt again. "We're moving too slow, Andrew." His voice lowered. Andrew held his breath. "You don't even know what you're after or what you're getting yourself into, so why rush into the unknown when the outcome could be either good or bad?" Trickster glared at Andrew with bewilderment. "Has that Nova gotten to you?" Andrew squinted at Trickster. He realized Ava might have rubbed off on him. "Don't let her charm get to you. Do you remember the story about the soldier that fell for a Nova and bore a child with her? Well, now he's lying in a condemned grave. Watch yourself." Trickster stormed off. Andrew glanced to the floor with a held breath.